Good morning. I think it's still morning. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. How are we doing? Are we okay? Cup of coffee at the ready, as always. So I hope everyone's having a good week, and we're enjoying a bit of better weather, which is really good. So I hope everyone's getting out, getting active, and making most of the lockdown as we have to. We have no choice. So, as you can see from the title today, the topic that we're going to talk about today is low carb versus high carb, and what would you be best doing? Specifically, what would you be best doing for weight loss, fat loss, feeling better, looking visually better, having more energy throughout the day? What way is the best way? And first of all, I want to talk about what I've been doing over the last 10 days. So I've decided to jump on an in-house 6-week challenge that I'm doing with our subscription site members, just because it fell in really nicely, perfect timing, and it's always good to do it in a group. So we started that last Monday, so we've been going 10 days now, and it's always good to play around with things, have a little bit of an experiment with things. But I just worked out today that over the 10 days, I've been averaging 200 grams of carbohydrates. And it's not necessarily a massive amount of carbs throughout the day, but to a lot of people, they'll be like, 200 grams of carbs. I would never, ever imagine consuming that on a daily basis. And realistically, if I was after really quick, drastic changes, you would think that I wouldn't be on 200 grams of carbs a day. But then I've looked at my stats, and I've just trickled over 3 kilograms in weight loss, and more importantly, I feel absolutely amazing. I feel like I'm sleeping better quality, a deeper sleep. I've got more energy physically and mentally. To me, it all makes sense. Now, if I'd gone lower carb, let's say if I'd averaged 100 grams of carbs per day, some of those factors may have not been as great. Definitely, I wouldn't have had the flexibility in my diet. I probably wouldn't have had as much energy, especially physically, to train. So therefore, my sessions wouldn't have been as intense, and maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed the process as much, because I like eating carbs. I love carbohydrates, and if I can find a way of eating them and seeing results, then I'm going to do that. Now, for me, in the position I'm at the minute, even though I'm losing weight, the way I see it is that I'm training as intense as I've trained for a while now. So the way I see it is that I can keep pushing my carbs and keep adding more carbs in. Okay, and this is the thing, I think, with carbs, and maybe the reason why it's got its bad name, and I used to think this, is that people associate the issue with carbs through its insulin release. Okay, and they associate the insulin release with weight gain. Well, if that was the case, then foods like proteins would make you fat, because they too have an insulin spike, an insulin release as well. So that is just worth forgetting, basically. And also, the proof's in the pudding. I've found out over the last 10 days, I can eat carbs and I can see the results I want to see, while also enjoying the process, and while also having loads of energy and just generally being happier. So when we talk about the low carb and high carb comparison, can we do both? Yes. So ultimately, it's down to personal preference. So for me, I want to enjoy the process. I don't want to think of it as a rigid diet or an extreme way of living. I want to enjoy the process. I want to have flexibility with what I eat. I want to still have more energy. I want health markers like sleep, stress, and that to be better, or to have better coping mechanisms from them. So just generally on a day-to-day basis, I want to function better. Now, over the 10 days, have I achieved that? Yes. So I want to do the high carb, I'm looking to do the high carb way of eating. The low carb way of eating, for me, yes, I can still see results off it, but would I enjoy the process as much? Probably not. Would I have boundless amounts of energy day in, day out? Not as much as I do on the high carb way. And then lifestyle factors, so would my mood be affected on low carb? Yes, probably. It has been previously when I've been on really low carb. My mood's been up and down so much. So ultimately it's down to personal preference, and it's about what you do. Now, for a lot of my clients, and they will vouch for this, they do both. So we combine on a weekly in a weekly structure low and high carb days because they work really well. And ultimately it's good for the client to find out themselves what's working, what's not working, and how they function on both days. And they get a lot of answers from doing both, and it's what we talk about in our weekly feedback, etc. And we have good discussions about it. So realistically, the low diet versus high diet it's down to personal preference. Me personally, I'm going high carb. I'm going to see how many carbs I can get away with on a daily basis while still seeing the results I want to see. But you can bring both in together, and actually it's very beneficial bringing both in together as well. So this isn't a debate, this isn't putting it to rest at all. There's far more educated coaches out there that know a lot more about this topic than me, that can kind of put this topic to bed. But from the way I see it is, you can do both together. It's all down to personal preference. And ultimately, it's down to how you feel and function on a daily basis. Does it make your life better? Does it make you happier? Does it give you more energy while still seeing the results you want to see on a daily basis?